video. So if you are dealing with a debt buyer, make sure you stick to the end. It is a few minutes out of your day that's going to help you tackle debts that are thousands and thousands of dollars. So if you can understand the basics and you're willing to stay, you are ahead of the majority of people going through this process right now. All right, so let's go over debt buyers, right? What is a debt buyer? A lot of people don't know what a debt buyer is. They buy debts. 9 times out of 10, what you're dealing with on your credit reports as in terms of collection, they buy debts. A debt buyer purchases accounts from creditors or other companies. They claim ownership after you purchase. They usually claim the right to collect the balance, and they may collect or sue. They will contact you, right? They may hire people to collect, right? Report data or file a lawsuit. Okay? And we have seen an increase in debt collectors suing consumers. So at this point, if you're watching this video and you're probably either have already been sued by a debt collector, on the brink of being sued by a debt collector, or have collection accounts from debt buyers on your consumer report. Either way, the cookie crumbles. You want to make sure that you understand what a debt buyer is, okay? How debt buying usually works. The original account, a consumer opens an account with a creditor. So that's your Capital One, your Chase Bank. You default, right? Payments stop and the creditor marks the account as a loss, so they charge it off. And then that's when that debt sale happens. So either from this little charge off right here, either it's going to go to an in-house or it's going to be sold to a debt buyer. That debt sale, the account is sold with data and limited documents. That limited documents is very, very important because when you're dealing with a debt buyer, there are things that you want to request that they need to legally have in order to validate and verify that this debt is truly yours and that it's accurate, or they don't have the right to collect. That's just the law. That's just what it is. I know a lot of people like to say, just pay your debts, just pay your debts. You know how many people have debts on their consumer report right now that do not belong to them, that are inaccurate, that are outdated? We're playing the game here, all right? Collection, and then that's when collection activities starts. Okay? They start suing you, they start reporting about you, they start the calls, they start all of those things. Debt buyer compared to other players. Okay, debt buyers here. Let's go over the players, right? In this game. Original creditor, the company that first opened or financed the account. Debt collector, a company collecting a debt for another company. And then the debt buyer, a company that bought the account and claims it to own it. Okay, then you do have collection law firm, a law firm collecting or suing on the account. That is very rare, but I don't want you to be surprised if you ever see it. Okay, documents debt buyers should be able to show you. So this is really, really important because this is the meat and potatoes right here. What are they supposed to show me? What do they need to have in order to validate this debt? Bill of sale shows that a sale actually happened. Assignment connects the seller to the buyer. Which goes into chain of title. I need to see every transfer from start to finish because debt buyers do purchase debt from other debt buyers. All right. So you need to see the chain of title. It came from the original creditor to who, and then you. Okay, well, if that happened, I need to see an unbroken chain of assignment. Okay? Contract or agreement shows the original terms. How are you collecting on a debt and there's no contract behind it, there's no terms, there's no agreement, there's no nothing? Impossible. Account statements shows balance history and activity. And obviously on the face of that, you can see why that's important because how are you trying to collect on that? How do you know that the number that you have or whatever you purchased was even accurate to begin with? And matter of fact, when debt buyers purchase debt from original creditors, somewhere in that forward flow agreement, the original creditor will let them know, hey, we cannot guarantee that that you're going to get paid, and we cannot guarantee that the information in here is 100% correct. Identity theft happens on a large scale. We can't guarantee that. Okay. And then payment history. Okay. Shows dates, charges, payments, and credits. Okay, so you got an agreement, but what about the payment history behind that agreement? Did I pay on it? What did I pay? When did I pay? You know, what's the history here? Okay? Laws that matter. This is super important because this is another piece of your meat and potatoes, right? This is the seasoning. FDCPA, right? Your FDCPA is specifically for debt collectors. Okay, so you do have private right of actions under the FDCPA, and private right of actions just means the claims that you can bring forth that you can actually sue for in court. The FDCPA is very, very important. You need to know that. You need to know the FCRA, right? That's when it comes to your credit report and how the furnisher, which is the debt collector, furnishes information on your account. State laws, a lot of the times you'll realize there's a lot of state laws that protect you depending on what state you're in. Even sometimes more than federal laws can, right? So having those state specific laws depending on what state you're in, you can always use those in conjunction. And then your court rules. Every court operates different. Okay, every court operates different, and you have to, when you're in their courtroom, you have to respect how that court operates and how they do things, right, legally. So your court rules, all of these four, you need to know and you need to understand. And again, I break it down in the community, and on YouTube I do break these down, what they are, how to use them, and where they apply, because that's another thing that people get misconstrued. What laws apply to who? All right, and what sections of those laws apply to who? Common red flags and violations. This is a big one. No clear chain of ownership, wrong dates or account details, collection after a written dispute, balance does not match the records, no contract or account terms, and lawsuit filed without enough proof. When they have, because a lot of the times you're dealing with debt buyers that they're never going to get all of these correct. Never going to, it's always going to be at least two of these that are wrong, right? A lot of these debt buyer lawsuits, it can seem like, oh, debt buyers are winning lawsuits and winning lawsuits and winning lawsuits. And the biggest reason is not because you that consumers are losing in the fight. They never even show up. So if you are being sued by a debt collector, first of all, I have a package for that. Check it in the description box below to see everything that comes with that. So you're not alone in that fight. If you, matter of fact, are being sued by a debt collector, I want you to click the description box and I want you to click on that product because it's definitely for you. When it comes to them suing you, they don't, 9 times out of 10, they don't have enough proof to substantiate what it is that they're suing you for. All right. So you always want to make sure that you just show up. If you just show up, you are ahead of 90% of consumers being sued by debt collectors. If you just show up, these are default judgments for real. These are not even true wins. Okay. What to do if a debt buyer contacts you? Do not admit ownership. That's number one. Save every letter. Okay, keep the same envelope it even came in with, right? Any call logs associated with it. Save every letter. Save every email as well. Request validation, okay? And again, we always over here, we do a two sword. In order to get certain claims at the end, if you ever need to escalate to a lawsuit, or if you're being sued by a debt collector, you can always bring these things into play, right? Requesting validation. When you make your initial validation letter to the debt collector or the debt buyer, it's always going to be on the same day that you send the initial letter to the credit bureau. You're always going to dispute with the credit bureau first, and then on that same day you're going to send off your debt validation letter to the debt buyer. Check dates, right? Because these things have deadlines under the FCRA. The credit bureau has 30 days to investigate and get back to you, and then you want to compare records after that, and then the dispute process does continue, but that's out the gate. This is the initial process, all right, to do if a debt buyer contacts you. If a debt buyer sues you, this is important too. Read the complaint. So for those of you who are being sued right now, Read the complaint. Okay? Look at who is suing and what they claim. Calendar the deadline. Okay? That's very, very important, because if you miss these deadlines, they will get a default judgment. Challenge proof. Just because they're saying that they own it, just because they're saying that they have the right to sue you, you need to challenge everything. Just like you question your girlfriend or your boyfriend or your kids, or even question yourself, make sure you question those debt buyers like that, okay? Review exhibits. And even after you ask those questions, whatever they produce that's supposed to be an answer to your question, you're going to review those exhibits, right? Because you're looking for missing contracts, gaps, unclear assignments. You're missing, conflicting statements, and even in their own documentation, because it happens. And you're going to, once again, track everything. Track everything. What debt buying does not mean. Okay, it's not an automatic win. We go over this all the time. No skipping proof. Okay, just because you send out a debt validation letter to a debt buyer, it doesn't mean that they need to. If they don't have this, that, and the third, they're gonna delete it. No skipping proof. Okay. No vague dispute. You need the issue should be, specific. But again, we're only giving them what's legally obligated. We're not helping them with their investigations. No instant deletion. And what it does, it gives you a reason to review the claim carefully. Okay? This is when you're communicating in connection, when you're communicating with a debt buyer. Okay? And we're back to the community, okay? Yeah. What is a debt buyer? How debt buying usually works. Debt buyer compared to other players, right? Documents debt buyers should be able to show that's your meat and potatoes. Laws that matter, that's your meat and potatoes. And then common red flags and violations, that is your meat and potatoes, because this gives you specifically what you should be looking for in connection with the debt buyer. All right, if a debt buyer sues you, these are your top things that you want to do within the first 72 hours when you get that initial response. Also, if you're being sued by a debt collector, in the description box below, I have a complete guide for those of you who are dealing with a lawsuit from a debt collection company now, or a debt buyer, I'm sorry. I have a whole guide laid out, what to expect in court, your answer, affirmative defenses, everything that you would need in order to fight that battle strategically and effectively. It is in the guide below. So I'll let that in the description box below. And within the Golden University school community, I have so many classes dropping this month. They're going to be super in depth. Okay, so I want you to get in before the price goes up, so that you are there for all the classes that drop this month, and moving on in the community as well. And you also have me in your back pocket inside of the community. You can ask me questions, get customized help to your specific situation, and join others who are on the same path as you, that can share wins, you can ask questions to, and things of that nature. So that is the end of this video. You guys now know what a debt buyer is and what to expect from a debt buyer, and I will see you guys inside of the community.